Ever wondered what a real AI startup's game plan looks like before it becomes a big deal? Well, today, we're getting that inside look. We've got our hands on the actual business plan and system design docs for a brand new AI company, and we're going to deconstruct it piece by piece. All right, let's dive in.
So, what's the big idea? It all boils down to this brilliant analogy. It's a flight simulator, but for salespeople. Think about it. Instead of crashing and burning on a live, multi-million-dollar deal, sales reps can practice their entire pitch against a super smart AI. It's such a simple, powerful concept.
And here's their official vision. This isn't just about practice makes perfect. It's about a concrete business outcome. The goal is a 1-2 punch. First, make salespeople better, faster. And second, prove the value of that training directly to the CFO in the only language they really speak, return on investment. And this is what that vision looks like in a single powerful number. Right now, the industry standard for a new sales rep to get fully up to speed is about 90 days. This startup's entire promise, their whole reason for being, is to cut that time in half. For any sales leader out there, that's an absolute game changer.
Okay, so why build this at all? Every great startup starts by solving a real, painful, and usually expensive problem. It's just not enough to have a cool piece of tech. You have to be a painkiller for a major headache that someone is having.
And here is that exact headache seen from two different angles. On one side, you've got the VP of Revenue Operations who's dealing with a brutal 30% of new hires quitting in the first 6 months. That's just a huge waste of time and money. Then on the other side, the CFO is pumping cash into training but has zero visibility. They can't connect that spending to actual sales results. It's a massive disconnect.
And boom, here's their answer. This is their product market fit. Just look at how the solution perfectly mirrors the problems we just saw. Reps practicing against AI, that tackles the churn and performance issue for RevOps. And then the platform automatically spits out ROI slides. That completely solves the tracking problem for the CFO. It's a perfect closed loop.
Having a great product is one thing, but actually getting it into the hands of customers, that's a whole other battle. So let's check out their go-to-market blueprint. How are they actually going to find people and, make money?
First off, look how incredibly specific they are. They're not trying to sell to everyone. They're laser-focused on mid-sized tech companies in North America. But here's the really brilliant part. They know the difference between the primary buyer, the VP of RevOps who's feeling the pain every day, and the economic buyer, the CFO who actually signs the check. This shows they know exactly who to talk to and whose budget to go after. The slide basically shows the math that will fuel their growth. They're betting on a product-led model. A pretty solid 7% of people who visit their site sign up for a trial, and they think they can convert a whopping 20% of those into paying customers. But the killer metric is that last one, a 3-month CAC payback. That means they make back every dollar they spent to get a new customer in just 90 days. That right there is the engine for hyper-efficient growth.
And their pricing is built for exactly that model. The Pro plan is a super low-risk entry point. It lets a single team jump in, try it out, and see the value almost immediately. But the Enterprise plan, that's where the real money is made. It's got all the custom stuff, security, and integrations that big companies need. It's a classic land and expand strategy.
This is not a build it and they will come kind of plan. No way. This is an aggressive 90-day sprint that's all about validation. And get this, they start with paid discovery calls. They're actually testing if the problem is painful enough for people to open their wallets for, even before the product is fully built. And they end the quarter with their first 10 customers and their first hire in customer success. That is pure execution.
Okay, so the business plan seems really solid. But what about the tech that actually makes this flight simulator fly? Let's pop the hood and take a look at the architecture. Right. This is the million-dollar question for pretty much any AI startup today. Is the tech just a thin wrapper around some API, or is there actually something more sophisticated going on under the surface?
So, the tech stack is super modern and it's built for speed and scale. They're using proven stuff like Next.js and Supabase, which lets them move incredibly fast. For the AI brain, they're using Azure's version of GPT-4o Mini, which is a really smart choice for getting enterprise trust. And then they're using LangGraph to manage the complex back and forth of a realistic sales conversation.
The data model shows how it all fits together. You've got the customer company, which they call a tenant. You had the individual salesperson, the user. And then you see the core loop. A simulation session is tied to a user, and a bunch of those sessions get rolled up into that final all-important ROI report. It's a really clean and logical structure.
All right, now for what might be the most important part of any business plan, the financials. I mean, a great product and a great market are nice, but they don't matter if the numbers don't add up. So, does the math actually work?
Here it is, their North Star for year one. $1 million in annual recurring revenue, or ARR. Hitting this number is the key milestone that proves this isn't just a cool project, but a real, viable business. Now this number might be even more important. 120% net revenue retention. What that means is even if they didn't sign a single new customer all year, their revenue from existing customers would still grow by 20% just through upgrades and expansion. That is the ultimate sign of a sticky, super valuable product. And here's how all those metrics come together to create growth over 5 years. You can see that classic hockey stick curve that venture capitalists absolutely love to see, scaling from that first million all the way up to a projected $25 million in ARR by year 5. This slide basically reveals the true engine of the business. It's a sensitivity analysis, and it shows which levers have the biggest impact on profit. And look at the difference. Increasing how much you make per customer, that's ARPU, and reducing churn are way more impactful than lowering your acquisition cost. The takeaway is crystal clear. This business lives and dies on customer value and retention.
Look, no startup journey is ever a straight line up. A really solid plan also has to account for what could go wrong and what the ultimate financial goal is. So let's look at the risks and the big exit strategy.
This, right here, shows incredible foresight. They've already identified major threats, things like AI regulation, unpredictable AI costs, and even getting blocked by CRMs, and they have a clear, credible plan to deal with each one. For example, if GPT costs go through the roof, they've got a plan to switch to a cheaper open-source model. That's just smart planning.
And here it is, the end game. This is the target acquisition price they are building this entire company towards. The goal is to get to $10 million in ARR, which, based on typical market math, should translate to an $80 to $100 million exit. This single number gives the entire company focus.
So we've seen the vision, the product, the go-to-market, the tech, and the financials. It's an incredibly thorough blueprint, for sure. Which leaves us with the ultimate question for any startup, no matter how good the plan looks on paper. What's going to be the hardest part? Is it nailing the AI technology? Finding a market that really wants this? Or is it just the day in, day out grind of executing the plan? That remains the great unknown.